Bad me. I had it recording and then I stopped it. Okay, so I know for those who missed the online session today, I apologize. We're starting the recording a little bit late. Okay, so let's start with this painting by just talking about what you see. So just really basic stuff, throw it out there. And if you talk over each other, no worries. What do you see when you look at this painting?
Craziness. It looks cool.
Craziness, but cool. What else do you see?
A crab or something like that.
Seeing a crab somewhere?
Looks like a crab to me.
Yeah, I believe it. I'm sure that there's some kind of crab-like creature in here. What else do you see?
Complementary colors.
Complementary colors. Good. I'm not sure whose voice that is yet because I'm still
Alexis.
Oh, Alexis. That's funny. Your voice. It's amazing how people's voices in person and online sound so different. Complementary colors. I love that. Do you want to give me an example of that just in case someone else isn't sure or doesn't remember what complementary colors are? What are two colors in here that are complementary?
Oh, red.
Uh-huh.
And like the blues and yellow.
So if you mix the blue and yellow together, you actually create a green. And greens are actually the complement of red. So complementary colors are two colors that sit opposite on the color wheel. Just like black and white are like the opposites, complementary colors are the opposites. So red and green. So when you said blue and yellow, you were really close. Perfect. Yeah, other complementary colors that are in here, blue and orange. There's some oranges in there. And yellows and purples, those are all complements. So there are a lot of complementary colors in here, Alexis. What else do we see?
I feel like it's like a magical world underneath water.
A magical world. Well, what parts of it kind of give you that feeling?
Like the sparkles and the those star things and all those colorful dots and everything.
Nice. Yeah. What about like those swirly lines? It almost looks like on the right-hand side, it almost looks like they're like kind of like, I could think of as like, if thinking about water, they could be like, you know, where water like swirls down. You see those lines kind of swirling down.
It looks like a black hole to me, sort of.
A black hole? What is it about it that gives you that feeling of a black hole?
I don't know, just like how there's like lines and there's like a little dot of light in it. So.
Little dot of light. So kind of like the reflection of the light on the red clouds, maybe?
Yeah.
Looks like there's light kind of shining through.
It reminds me of a movie.
A movie? Mm-hmm. What is it about the image that gives you that feeling of a movie?
It's like another world or something.
So it's something kind of outside of our normal world.
Yeah. Like
a movie would be or could be. Awesome. So you guys have some really great ideas. And I've asked this question a couple times when people have come in with ideas like the under the water or the black hole. What is it specifically about artwork that gives us those feelings? How are the artists using these elements of design to give us those feelings or those narratives? So let's think about just this painting in particular to that question. And we could pick any of those ideas of, whether it's, an image from a movie or underwater world or a black hole. How does the artist use those elements, the line, the shape, the color, the texture, the value, space. How does the artist use those together to create this story that we're looking at in front of us? Is he using a lot of them? Like, are there tons of lines? Are there tons of colors? Is it really a crowded space? Or do you see it be a little bit more quiet? Is there less color, not very many lines, not very many shapes?
There's a lot of color.
There's a lot of color. And that color helps give us an idea of the feelings. What about that? I mean, the red and the orange of all those kind of creepy, crazy creatures, like that's a pretty intense color to be using. And I use the word creepy because to me, red with those faces kind of makes it look disturbing almost. But then the artist uses a different kind of color palette in the back. Uses that really hot red and orange for those kind of creepy guys. But what kind of colors does he use in the back? And how does that help with the story, do you think?
It helps it like stand out a little.
Nice. It totally does, doesn't it? Those reds and oranges totally stand out. They pop out at you. They force you to look at them, don't they?
Yeah.
Nice.
But it sort of trips out my eyes because of all the colors. It's like when you see lights and they like just like flash.
Uh-huh.
Like, for a second, it just like it hurts my eyes. There's so much color and
Yeah, I can see that. I could totally see that. So what's happening with the colors in the background versus those warm red and oranges that pop out at us? What's happening with those colors talking to each other that make that happen? How do those colors in the background help pop out those reds? What do you think? It kind of goes back a little bit to one of the things Alexis said in the beginning about colors. How are they different, maybe? Maybe that's an easier question to answer. How are the background colors different from those reds and oranges of the creatures?
They're more darker.
They're darker. So the value is different. Nice. The brighter reds and oranges have a lighter value, but the blues and greens have a darker value, and blacks and purples that are back there. Good. Nice. How else are they different? Can we come up with one more idea?
Take it before.
I'm going to go back to Alexis's observation in the beginning of using the complementary colors. When you put black and white next to each other, black feels really black and white feels really white because they're opposites, right?
Yeah.
So these warm colors of the oranges and reds sitting next to those cool colors of blues and greens, and even the darker values of the blacks and purples, they're kind of like that opposite, right? So they help pop each other out. So using those complementary colors like that, or even just the opposite of warm color versus cool color, really helps push the warm colors forward. Mm-hmm. And that kind of goes along with that value, the values of the reds and oranges being lighter, and then the values of the blues and purples and blacks being darker. Again, it's those opposites. So whenever you put opposites next to each other, it helps really pop them out. Good. So what else? So that's, color and value. And that's one really important part of this painting and kind of telling its story. But what are maybe two other things in terms of the elements of design that this artist is using? How is he specifically using them to tell a story? I've heard people say there's lots of lines. I've heard people say there's lots of dots or sparkles. I kind of see the dots almost like sparkles a little bit. How is he using those lines and those dots, those shapes to tell the story? What do you think? The cool thing about talking about art is that there's never really a wrong or right. And through conversation, it kind of sometimes helps us figure out stuff. So don't feel shy to throw out an idea, even if you're not sure. And I see a lot of people muted, so make sure you unmute yourself if you're talking first. So how is Kenny Scharf using those lines and shapes to help tell the story, do you think?
He's like overlapping them, like the polka dots on the orange thing is behind it.
Nice. And what do you think that overlapping does? What kind of feeling does that give you?
It makes it feel like the polka dots are probably like far away and stuff.
So it's another part that helps give depth. Good. That's a really good one, Alexis. What else do you think? And if you feel like talking out loud is embarrassing on some level and you'd rather chat it, you're welcome to type it in the chat box as well. If you don't want to use your voice, that's okay.
How do we chat?
So there is a little button that says chat. And I think when I'm sharing my screen, you should still be able to see it down on the bottom. But if you don't mind talking is fine too. But if you prefer to chat, you can
How
type.
do we send it like out to you?
If you click on the chat box, it should open up and then you can text it. And I have it open so I can just see it.
Okay.
Everybody will see it if they have it open. So I love Alexis's idea that those overlapping lines and shapes really help give it depth. So how does the idea of just having a lot of depth, a lot of space, that goes back into the picture plane? Because to me, depth is something that goes forward and backward rather than side to side, even though it can go side to side as well. I think of depth more as that three-dimensional space from the foreground to the background. So how does having a lot of depth and a lot of lines and shapes overlapping, how does that help tell this story? What do you think it gives us a feeling of?
If it's in real life?
It could be real life, or you can talk specifically about this painting too. Either is fine.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
It makes you feel like you're in a story.
By having that depth?
Yeah, like Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, good. I like that connection. Yeah. And I go back to Aubrey, it might have been you. I can't remember now who it was that talked about the black hole.
It was me.
Okay. Yeah, so I kind of wonder if some of that overlapping and that depth might have been what made you feel like it was a black hole. Because if you think of a black hole, you think of like this kind of immense amount of space that just you can get sucked into, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder if that was part of what influenced your feeling.
Wait, so what question are you trying to ask us?
Oh, so the question was, how is his use of overlapping the lines and shapes, how does that help give the sense of the story or the feeling of this painting?
Okay.
Or maybe another question would be, when I look at this painting, I feel like it's really chaotic. And so maybe another question would be, if you had to interpret why I thought it was chaotic, what do you think he's using, or how do you think he's using his elements of design to give that sense of it being chaotic?
He's adding a lot of things into the picture.
There's a lot of stuff, right? Yeah. There's tons of different lines, tons of different shapes, tons of different colors. And you know that there's a lot of it because it's overlapped, right? You're not seeing it nice and neatly spread out with lots of space in between. There's a lot of overlapping of all those different elements. Is there a lot of variety in the shapes and lines? Meaning, is there a lot of differences in the way he uses those?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard someone say yeah. Yeah, there are. There's really straight lines. There's really curvy lines. There's thick lines. There's thin lines. There's tons of different texture with the polka dots and the scratches and the soft shading of the clouds. So there's a lot of variety here. When you have a lot of variety of something, and I think Aubrey said this earlier, like she has a hard time kind of looking at it because maybe there's just so much going on that it's like, whoa, where do I look? When you have that much variety, does it almost feel a little bit like, does it make you feel almost a little bit anxious to look at it because there's just so much going on?
Yes.
A little bit?
Yeah.
One thing that's kind of a cool way to look at that, if you look at just that little picture in his mouth and try to pretend like that section right there is just its own little painting. And then you look at all of the rest of the painting. Does it feel like the big picture of the painting is kind of overwhelming and wild and crazy versus this tiny little painting in here almost seems kind of quiet and calm?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? What is the difference between those two little spots?
It could be probably the other world that's all calm without chaos in it.
Yeah, so it does feel like the other world. And if you look at the title, When the Worlds Collide, right? That might give you an idea of this being the other world. I like that, Alexis. But visually, just thinking about the elements of design that he used in like this tiny little part of the painting versus this part of the painting at the top.
Do they make the whole?
What's different with those? How does he use the elements differently? How would you, if you had to explain the contrast between those two spots, how would you explain it? We've kind of talked about how the sky has a lot of depth, it has a lot of overlapping, it has a lot of variety of lines and shapes. However, does this spot, does it have all of those elements too?
No.
No, it doesn't, does it? It's much more simple, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of color. It's basically yellow, green, some white, maybe a little bit of blue. So a really limited amount of color. Does it have a pretty limited amount of shapes and lines as well, do you think?
No.
No.
This part here, does it have a lot of shapes and lines, or does it have few shapes and lines? I guess that's a better question.
Few shapes and lines.
Yeah, few shapes and lines. So this space here is pretty quiet because there's not a lot going on. Whereas the sky, or the area behind that little world in his mouth, has so much going on. So I think that those are two really interesting places to look at in the composition to see how this artist uses line, shape, color, value, texture in two very different ways to give two very different feelings. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know our time is kind of coming up to the end here. Does anybody have any questions or comments that they want to make on this painting that they haven't had a chance to so far?
I just noticed that there's a creepy person at the left top head.
This one right here that looks like kind of a V-shaped mouth and triangle eyes. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
There's a lot of creepy faces in here. There's also this like Cyclops face where there's an eye and an eyebrow and lips kind of on the left top, and all these little creatures in the background. I think you can look at this painting for a really long time and constantly see new things because there's just so much going on.
Like playing I Spy.
It's totally like playing I Spy. Somebody else said something in the background. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm not sure. Bonnie, it's it's only a half an hour. We do kind of short little online sessions for the art class. But I did record most of it, so you can go back and rewatch the recording if you want to.
To me, the red guy that's smiling, his mouth feels like a portal.
It does kind of feel like a portal. Yeah, I think that's a great observation.
I just realized that in the left bottom corner, there's just this little red ball thing.
Right down here, yep, there is. But then you start, as soon as you see that, you start noticing that those little red ball things and little orange ball things are actually kind of throughout the whole composition.
Yeah.
They pop out. There's even tiny little ones kind of in this whirlpool of circular lines here too. Awesome. All right, so I know a bunch of you have actually turned in this assignment already, and I apologize I have not graded them. I do plan on getting to the grading of them this afternoon, though. So if any questions come up, if you haven't done this assignment yet, hopefully this also will help you out a little bit. And if any other questions come up, either about this online session or any of your assignments, remember to reach out to me as soon as you can so I can help you out. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm going to ask for all of you who are online today, for me to take attendance, I would love for you, I know some of you who are here, but I don't see everybody's name. I would like for you to send me an email as soon as you get off this online session and say, I was here, so I can go in and do the attendance.
Can we
Sound good?
text you?
Yep, just email. Can you text me? Yes, you can text me. That's fine too.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yep.
Perfect.
Doing that right now so that I
Awesome.
don't forget.
All right. So I will talk to all of you later. Maybe I'll see some of you on Friday.
Wait, one question.
Yeah.
So, for the Google Documents, when there's FreeJaw, Are you supposed to post it on the Google document?
Yeah, so you can just paste so if you take a photograph of your free drawing, and then you can just put the image into a Google document.
You want me to answer that?
Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to do it. And if you want to, that's a great question for those of you who are still on the computer right now. If you want to, you can create one Google document and just keep adding your pictures every week to it. But if you do that, just make sure you date your pictures so I know which week they go to, okay?
Okay.
Perfect.
I just sent you the email.
Awesome. Thanks, Aubrey.
Welcome.
All right. I will see some of you on Friday. Otherwise, I will see the rest of you online in a few weeks.
Wait, are you at the open lab today?
In the afternoon, I will not be. I'm actually going to be leaving school just a little early. However, I'll be here until probably 1:30ish.
Oh.
So if you're at school around then, you can come catch me.
Are you at Mewell right now?
I am at
In your
Mewell.
office? Okay.
Yeah.
Sort of looks like your office.
My messy desk behind me. Yep.
Bonnie's trying to ask if you're still meeting with her at 11:30.
Oh yeah. Are you still coming over at 11:30, right? I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. So you see.
Yep. I'll be leaving probably after our meeting. So. And I've got something here for you, Bonnie, too. So hopefully you'll come with your mom.
You're on camera, Rebecca.
Georgia.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to sign off so I can get ready for Bonnie's meeting, and I'll see the rest of you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Peace out.
Log off and then send her an email.
Signing on.